Yeah, it's a show basically, and you basically have to put on a better show, and that's why some of the best criminal defense attorneys, they're not the slickest. They're good, but they're not the perfect slickest logicians or legal experts of case law going back 100 years. They're the best comedians. They're the best actors. They're the best people that can pull off a miracle. I'll give you an example. Puff Daddy was a rapper here in New York City. He was just up and coming. He was dating a woman named Jennifer Lopez, and the two of them were quite an item. And one evening at a nightclub in New York City, Puff Daddy allegedly withdrew a gun from his jacket and fired the firearm several times into the crowd. That was allegedly illegal, and allegedly a crime, a felony that Mr. Sean Combs, his real name, committed. There were witnesses that made it clear that Mr. Combs threw the gun, had a getaway car, he threw the gun out onto the street in Times Square. There's no way, right? No way that this guy could be found innocent. It was a mess. Hundreds of people in the club saw this happen. There was no doubt as to what happened. Well, Mr. Combs hired two people. He hired my defense attorney, Ben Braffman, and he hired Johnny Cochran. And Ben was the lead trial witness, or trial attorney. Johnny stepped in for one cross-examination. And they, I think you know the story, they got a not guilty verdict. You can find a way to win if you have to. It's not easy at all, but it is possible to do. If you impeach witnesses correctly, you can hang your hat on that. So what Ben did is he found a witness, and he said, I don't know how much this story has ever been told, but I'll tell it now. There was a witness at the trial who took the stand, and she takes the stand, and you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
And the prosecutor goes through their whole rigmarole. Ma'am, you saw Mr. Diddy take the gun out, isn't that right?
Yes, I did.
And then when you saw him take the gun out, isn't it true that you saw him fire the firearm?
Yes, I did.
Okay then, and you were there that evening with your friends trying to have a good time, is that right?
Yeah.
And so then when Mr. Diddy shot that firearm, as you so testified, you were in a state of alarm, were you not?
Yes, I was.
And so after you were in a state of alarm, you started to run, and you were scared, isn't that right?
Yes.
Okay, no further questions. Then Ben's about this tall. Ben gets up on the stand. Not on the stand, but on the lectern. And again, it's all a show. He's sitting there. He's thinking. He's making it look like he's thinking. And everyone's in the courtroom says, what's this guy doing? Is he blowing this? He's thinking. And he does something totally out of character, totally unlike every other testimony that they've been doing. And this is a boring trial, right? That's going on for weeks. And he goes, Your Honor, may I approach? Judge says, sure. And he says, Your Honor, may I approach the witness? Judge says, okay. And he goes up close to the witness and he looks at her. And he looks at the jury. And he looks at the judge. He looks at the prosecutor. He looks at Combs. And everyone's like, what the fuck is he looking at, right? What's going on here? And he starts nodding his head like he just figured something out. And he says, Ma'am, thank you for testifying today. We can just run through the facts again. You saw Mr. Diddy take the gun out, right? Yes, I did.
Yes, I did.
Okay, and you stated that from across the bar, you saw Mr. Diddy take the gun out of his blazer, point the gun, and shoot it. Is that your testimony?
Yes.
Okay. Ma'am, would you mind stepping down from the witness booth and standing up right here on the floor? And she looks at the judge, and the judge looks at him. And the jury is like, some of the guys in the jury were asleep, and now they're waking up like, this is getting interesting. What's going on? And the judge says, please do as you're asked. And the woman gets up out of the chair. She stands up and she's like this. And Ben's very short. Ben stands up next to her and he says, okay, you can be seated. And he walks back to the lectern and he says, ma'am, how tall are you? And she says, I'm 5'2". And Ben says, I see. So, the thing is, I'm 5'4". I played on the basketball team. And the jury laughs. He said, I don't think you're 5'2". Are you really 5'2"? And she says, well, I'm really 4'11", but with the heels, I'm 5'2". He said, oh, okay. And then he says, so you saw my client take a gun out and shoot it from across the bar? She says, yes. And he says, are you positively sure? And he says, and she says, yes, I am. And then he says, I just have two last questions. Did you know that the bar at Club New York is 5 foot 7 feet tall? She says, no, I did not. And he said, are you 100% sure that you saw Mr. Diddy take the gun out and fire the firearm? And she says, I think I saw it. He said, no further questions. And that was it. And he was found innocent. Sometimes all it takes is one witness to have a completely maligned and messed up testimony that the jury says, you know what, I'm not sure I believe any of this shit. This one witness has corrupted and messed up this entire case. Now, again, some of these people will, like you said, well, what about all the other witnesses? Sure, of course, that's what the prosecution's going to say. But this thing, when one thing stinks, and that's what the defense attorney comes in, he says, ladies and gentlemen, you saw the fabricated evidence. You saw Miss Johnson say that she was sure, and then she wasn't so sure. When a gun goes off, there's a lot of panic. People aren't sure what they saw. And studies have shown that, et cetera, and you basically just run, you bring up reasonable doubt, and you might win. If you have a story, you run with the story. And Sam needs a story. He maybe doesn't have a story, so he's pleading guilty. But the point is, the fact that he's going to take a guilty plea right away and not at least jockey for position with the feds and not say, like, well, I don't know, I might plead guilty, but I really need 10 years to plead guilty, or I'm going to trial, and I'm bringing Braffman, and I'm bringing F. Lee Bailey passed away, Johnny Cochran who passed away, I'm bringing Mark Cohen, I'm bringing Mark Agnifilo, I'm bringing the dream team of attorneys that all the guys who have won. Oh, and I got a special weapon for you, Jose Baez. If you guys don't know who Jose Baez is, he defended Casey Anthony and Aaron Hernandez, both successfully. That guy's a beast. You bring that guy in. I mean, he's good. These guys can hone in on any specific, issue that, could be outstanding, and they hammer it home and they try to get it to work. Big attorneys usually can't work together. No, if you have the money, they'll do anything, right? But look at OJ, right? OJ was the example of the dream team, working itself out. So, there's definitely ways to do it, right? I mean, and again, to just decide I'm going to plead guilty 2 weeks into this thing. He's either taking this approach of where his family and his lawyers are telling him, look, let's negotiate a little bit. Let's get discovery. Discovery's sometimes good, right? Let's do something here, right? But he's just saying, you know what, I'm done. I'm sick of this. I'm ready to go to jail for the rest of my life.